Hello everyone, welcome back to Lamplight City. Thank you for joining me today. Very interesting game, this one. Last time out, we're a detective with this guy here. Last time out, we were investigating a burglary at a flower shop. The burglar apparently been breaking into a flower shop, taking some flowers, but leaving the money. So he wasn't technically stealing them, but he was breaking in, taking the flowers, and leaving the money behind. So we set up a trap to try and to catch him as he broke into the shop. But stupidly, we jumped out before he'd actually got through the window, and he decided to run up to the roof. We followed him. He then took my partner hostage with a knife. We tried to reason with him, wasn't working, so we then tried to shoot him. Apparently our aim isn't that great, and we ended up shooting and killing our own partner, who is now haunting us. And he wants us to track down the burglar to get some closure, to kind of get some justice, some closure, and hopefully it will help him move on and it will stop haunting us, because we're feeling like we're going a little bit insane. So this is our house apparently, so we're going to have a bit of a search around and we can see what's happening on, and hopefully we'll find some clues and maybe get sent on the case so we can actually try and track down this guy. So
you should have let me be buried wearing my hat. At least it wouldn't be gathering dust like it is now.
If I'd done that, it would be dust right now.
Heh, fair point.
This is apparently three months, I think it was, after the shooting.
Pretty, but I'm glad I don't have a sense of smell anymore.
So it looks like Bill's going to keep talking to us.
Oh, wouldn't you say it's time for a change of clothes, Miles? You've been wearing that coat for who knows how long.
So? Addie gave it to me. Besides, it gives me character.
Right. Brooding detective in a long black coat. That's never been seen before.
What are you talking about, Bill?
Never mind. I'm certain a permanent indentation in the shape of your rear is starting to form on that thing. Remember before you started taking that medicine and you could actually read a book for more than 10 minutes before falling asleep? You were a lot more fun to talk to back then. That's a fun little apparatus Adelaide got you. Very soothing.
Watching it spin long enough puts me right to sleep.
I'd say that's really more the soporifics doing.
So this is also like kind of a steampunk thing. So there's going to be little sort of steampunk gadgets about the place, which I'm really interested to see how they're going to play into the story. You know, because there must be a reason why they've set it in a steampunk setting rather than just in the 1800s.
I always like that self-portrait of Adelaide's mother, even if the eyes do always follow you around the room. Don't worry, Miles. I don't watch when you and Adelaide are having your private time.
It would be nice if you didn't spend the whole time humming.
I thought you appreciated some romantic music.
Oh, that would be the worst. Oh my god, that's terrible.
Cozy little winter getaway. That would be a welcome change from the winters in this city. Miles, care to explain what you're doing?
Just checking to make sure everything that needs to be in here still is.
Right. If you start taking that stuff during the day, you're really going to have problems.
We're possibly slightly addicted to this medicine that we've been taking.
Adelaide's mother certainly enjoyed pressing flowers. Do you suppose she does more of it now that she's retired? Adelaide's mother... Ha, that poster brings back some memories. That's from around the time you two met, isn't it?
Yes, back when Addie was singing at the Angel.
It's admirable just how organized Adelaide is. Maybe someday the same can be said about you.
Okay, I think that is everything in... Oh, there's another poster.
Adelaide's last performance. She could really bring the house down.
So Adelaide's our wife and apparently a singer. Okay, let's move into the next room.
Well, look who's awake. Ready to rejoin the living?
Very much so.
You were talking in your sleep again.
Did I say anything interesting?
Do you ever?
You have to admit, she's got you there.
How are you feeling?
A touch groggy. I think I took a bit too much of the soporific last night.
That's what I thought. When you went for your after-lunch nap, you'd barely gotten breakfast down. I saved you some bread and cheese if you're hungry.
Thank you, but I haven't got much of an appetite.
You really should regulate your doses more carefully, love. I'm sure dull senses and an empty stomach aren't much help to your work. By the way, a message arrived via courier for you this morning. I put it on the table along with today's newspaper.
Thank you, dear.
Okay, let's check that out first then. From a big case has come in which I think will interest you. Meet me at the Ruin Coffee House for more details. It's quite difficult to read, actually.
Upton says she's got a big case for me.
Does she go into any more detail than that?
No, but then you know Upton. Always on a need-to-know basis. Especially since she's been giving me these cases under the table.
To be fair, they haven't exactly been anything of note.
True, but she's still sticking her neck out for me. I can understand why she's so secretive about it.
I think she just misses having you around the station.
Poor Connie. With you quitting and me dying, she must be bored stiff at work.
Anyway, I'm supposed to meet her at the Ruin Coffee House. That can't be right.
It's not like Constance to make mistakes. She must have gotten in somehow.
Guess I'll head over there and see what she's got then.
Alright, so we have a first case, I guess. Let's have a look around first.
If there isn't a pair of scissors or a hairbrush in Adelaide's hands, you can bet there'll be a book. I always liked that painting. It's impossible to see that kind of scenery here in the city. It might do you some good to look in the mirror a bit more often, Miles. How are your parents doing these days? It's been ages since you wrote them. You remember how much time Adelaide had to spend convincing you to sit for this? At least these days, with ferrotype tech advancing the way it is, these portraits can be done in just a matter of minutes.
That'll be the steampunk.
Didn't I give you two that clock as a wedding present? Too bad it stopped working.
Oh, well, newspaper. I wonder if this is going to be useful at all. Do we actually need to read this? I'll have a quick flick through just in case. You can pause it there if you want to read. I'm not going to read it all out to you. Okay, so basically the stories are, this one's about an airship which crashed, caught fire and killed everybody on board, including a Prince Harold. And there's going to be another shipmate which is apparently going to be improved safety. This one is about a lady who died, perhaps a fairly senior sort of person. This one's interesting. It's talking about the Ether City. Or Ether City? I'm not sure how you would say that. It's talking about the substance which is very powerful. It is, imagine electricity but 100 times more powerful. And it can also power the lights and machines, also reduce the effects of aging and heal the sick. And some people say that the scientist is kind of a bit of a crackpot, I think. And this one's talking about a murder in Chomley, where we just were. And the second one, some people say it might be a serial killer, but the police are at the moment dismissing that. So that's really all that sort of said.
Your book collection has always astonished me. Heaven help you if you ever decide to move. Building those model ships was a good way to pass the time between cases. Hopefully it'll be a while before you get enough time to build another one.
So I just want to have another look around. Just the last few things, then we'll move on.
Adelaide's father certainly had an amazing life. Imagine being the personal barber to the Prime Minister and his family. The gossip and secrets he must have heard. That makes me wonder what old Mrs. Handbrook is up to these days.
I guess we might go and have a find out.
It's been so long since you used that desk. Did you even notice when Adelaide got rid of the chair? Bollingworth Ale, my favorite! And a nice souvenir from the Angel. You really ought to go back there someday.
He's obsessed with the pubs.
I'd love to see the look on Snelling's face if he ever found out you kept your old truncheon. Ah, the Havisham case. Our first time out as partners. First in a long line of successful cases. It's nice to have a memory of the good old days.
Okay, I think that is everything. I think it is now time to move on.
Time for me to get some things done.
I wish you'd let me fix your hair before you go out like that.
It'll be fine.
Okay, right, so that's the coffee house that we need to get to, so I guess we'll just go straight there.
Ah, the Rouen Coffee House. Worst Java in Lamplight City, but There's no better place to overhear all the rumors. Just make sure you don't get too close to the other patrons. Discretion was never your forte.
Okay. I sort of skipped out a bit. I didn't catch what you were saying. Right. That's who we need to speak to. I'm not going to bother speak. Oh god, look at this. Dirty plates all fly. Oh dear, I don't want to... Right, there we go. Let's go straight to her. Let's go talk to her.
If it isn't my old friend, up to no good.
Hello, Fordham. It's good to see you.
How did you get them to let you in here?
It's rather simple, really. The owner and I have an understanding. He pretends women are allowed in coffee houses, and I don't report his unsavory business practices to Chief Snelling.
Sounds like a good deal. What sort of unsavory business practices are we talking about?
Oh, we haven't got time to get into that now. But take some advice. Don't order anything that isn't water.
Okay, so despite progressive technology, that's still a little bit not very progressive with their attitudes to women. Okay. Right, let's find out what's going on.
I got your message. What's going on?
It's time for you to join the big boys again, Fordham. Your days of finding lost cats are over.
So stop teasing me and tell me what it is already.
Do you know Madame Laura Dupre?
Was that the woman I've read about in the paper? Not sure.
Laura Dupre. She's one of those Gascon Grand Dames, isn't she?
That's right. I'm surprised you've heard of her. I didn't think you cared about those types of people.
I don't, but Adelaide has several of them as clients. She gets paid to pretend to care about their lives, and I get to hear the sordid details.
Madame Dupre died the day before yesterday. Her funeral was held this morning.
My condolences.
But halfway through the service, the mourners heard a loud knocking coming from inside her coffin.
She wasn't dead?
Apparently not. Nearly interred alive, although her doctor swears she had no pulse.
Wow.
Dupre's son Andrew was quick to suspect foul play. He accused a man named Albert Martin, and the police arrested him.
So where do I come in? Sounds like the case has already been solved.
I strongly suspect that Martin is innocent, especially considering the talk of him having used black magic on Dupre. The police feel they have enough evidence to convict, so they're not bothering to investigate any further. You're going to look into it and see if I'm right, then find the person who was really behind this.
Okay.
Why not just ask Madame Dupre herself?
She hasn't spoken since the ordeal. Apparently, she's been catatonic since they pulled her out of the coffin.
How unfortunate.
If you'd like to question Mr. Martin, he's being held at the Bow Street Jail. Or you could take a look around his house. It's at 451 Compton Street in Worcester.
And the Dupre home?
That's at Emmeline and Comtesse, right across from the old Angeline convent. It's also possible you might run into the police during your investigation, since they're technically still on the case.
Thanks for the warning.
Was there anything you wanted to talk about before you get started?
Well, yeah, let's get as much information as we can.
Yes, actually, I had a couple of questions.
Let's hear them then.
Okay, let's find out, well, a bit more about everything, really.
How are things going with you?
Work is hectic as usual, and I'm spending my day off in here. But considering my home life is still a shambles, maybe this is the best place to be.
I'm truly sorry about that.
Don't be ridiculous. If it hadn't been for you, I'd still be chained to that philandering bastard. It hasn't been easy, but I'm much better off this way. Trust me. Anyway, work gives me something to focus on. I'm sure you can relate to that.
Yes, and I'm grateful to you for getting me these case leads. I know you're taking a risk to do it.
It's the least I can do. How about you? How's Adelaide?
She's fine, although things between us could be improved, if I'm being honest. The less said about it right now, the better, I think.
I'm sorry to hear that. You can talk to me about it if you need to, although I'm probably not the best person to ask for relationship advice.
Okay, interesting. Finding a bit more information about both of them here.
Don't suppose there have been any developments regarding Bill's murder.
Unfortunately not. The department hasn't exactly been focusing on that case as a priority. The general attitude is that it was an accident. Bill died an honorable death in the line of duty.
Would have been nice if they bothered saying that at the funeral.
And of course there are still those who blame you for his death, Snelling being the first and foremost.
But the man who really caused Bill's death is still out there.
Yes, I know, but it looks like you're on your own if you want to find him. My hands are tied. I can only ask around so much before the higher-ups get suspicious. Just don't give up. New Britannia may be a big city, but the criminal world is surprisingly close-knit. If you find any connections or leads during your other cases, be sure and let me know. I'll do the same if I find anything out.
See, she has a priority straight. You could learn a lot from Upton.
Okay, so I don't think we need to review the case just yet. We'll
That's it, I think.
we'll just
Then you'd better get back to it.
Yeah, we'll get investigating, I think. So
Well, I'm not entirely sure how this is going to help you find the flower shop burglar, but I suppose freeing an innocent man is a worthy diversion.
fair enough. So I mean, we could. I don't know. Well, I'm sure we'll come back here. I kind of just want to get going. I don't think anything in here is going to be particularly relevant to the case. Okay, so let's have a look here. We've got, this is, well, that's my house. That's the suspect's house. That's the jail where he is. That's the coffee shop where we are. And that's the manor there. I think the first thing we should do is go and speak to the guy, speak to the suspect.
Fordham? Is that you? You look like something a cat spat up.
Hello, Giles. It's lovely to see you too.
What brings you round the jail? I thought you'd quit being a detective.
I'm looking to speak with Mr. Albert Martin.
Oh, I see. Well, that's him in the first cell there. I'd say what needs saying as quick as you can, though. He's headed for the gallows in the morning.
What? Already? But what about a trial?
No trial necessary when there's black magic involved. This little half-breed's already sealed his fate.
Such a charming fellow, isn't he?
Wow. Wow, that's awful. Okay, so I can just hang without give him a trial. Something's definitely off a bit here. Let's go speak to him.
Mr. Martin?
Who are you? My lawyer?
No, I'm actually here to help you. The name's Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator.
How are you going to help me?
I'm looking into the attack on Madame Dupre. I believe you're innocent.
Oh, thank heaven. That's music to my ears.
Would you mind answering a few questions for me?
Friend, if it means saving me from the noose, I'll tell you nothing less than God's truth.
Interesting choice of phrase for someone accused of using black magic.
Okay, so let's find out maybe his relationship to Madame Dupre.
What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
What's to tell? She's a twisted, evil woman who got what was coming to her.
So
Whoever
that's not gonna
attacked
help
her
the
deserves
case.
some sort of reward for the service they're doing the community.
So it wasn't you then?
No, I'm innocent, Mr. Fordham. You have to believe me.
I'm afraid you're not making that very easy right now, Mr. Martin.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the interesting choice of words to use when you accuse of murdering someone. You say, it wasn't me, but I'm kind of glad it happened. Yeah.
Do you know anything about the circumstances of Madame Dupre's supposed death?
No, I had nothing to do with it.
Then why did her son accuse you?
Probably because he's just as ignorant as she is.
What I meant was, how did her son know to accuse you? Have you had any contact with the family before?
Yes, you could say that.
Uh-oh. That gleam in his eye says it all.
You see, I'm involved with Dupre's daughter,
Oh, there we are.
Juliet Montgomery. Dupre doesn't like that one bit. She even threatened me once.
Is that right?
Yes, she might have everyone else fooled, but that woman is the devil incarnate. I can't understand how something so heartless and cruel could have spawned someone as pure and loving as my dear Juliet.
He's not really helping his case much, is he?
Nope, he's not. So let's find out a bit more about his relationship.
Tell me about Juliet.
She's wonderful. Such a beautiful, kind soul. She hasn't come to see me yet, but I'm sure that's because of all the confusion in the last few days. Juliet wouldn't believe for a second that I would be capable of harming her mother. I'm sure of it.
How did you two get involved?
We met at the university.
Your classmates?
Hardly. They wouldn't allow someone like me to enroll there. Juliet studies botany. I work as an assistant in the greenhouse. We started talking, and she actually treated me like a person. To everyone else, I was just the boy who fetched the test tubes. But Juliet actually wanted to hear what I had to say, had the same taste in books and art, Didn't just treat me like some piece of gardening equipment. She even shared some of her notes with me after I told her I was interested in botany as well. From there, things just got better. I don't expect you to understand or approve, but that's how it happened.
Oh, you'd be surprised. It doesn't sound too different to how my wife and I got together. Except I was a detective and she was a singer at a bar.
And she's...
Yes, Mr. Martin. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. How often is Juliet in the greenhouse?
Every weekday, but I doubt she's there now. She's probably trying to find out where I am and working to have me released.
Somehow, I wouldn't bet on that.
Okay.
How did you end up in here?
I was just minding my own business at home when the police showed up with no warning. They made some outrageous claims about me putting some sort of curse on Madame Dupre. The next thing I knew, I was here. Oh, Mama must be beside herself with worry. I just hope she's all right.
Let's find out a bit more about Mother then.
What does your mother do, Mr. Martin?
She helps people.
I was hoping you'd be just a bit more specific.
She provides spiritual help to those who seek guidance.
She's a spiritualist.
Not quite. She's more like... How can I explain it? You know how a priest holds mass to spread the word of God to the people? My mother holds services and calls on the spirits to walk among us, providing healing and guidance.
So she's a religious leader?
If you want to give her that title, it would be the most appropriate.
And does this religion of yours have a name?
You'd probably know it as voodoo, but it doesn't mean what you think it does. People are so quick to judge and portray us as evil when they have no idea.
Okay, yeah, so that's what they're accusing him of black magic. Obviously, they think it's voodoo involved in it. He's definitely not helping himself, though.
So you practice voodoo, do you?
Are you making fun of me, Mr. Fordham?
No, of course not. Apologies if it seemed as though I was. It's just that the police are convinced that black magic was involved in Madame Dupre's apparent death.
That's because that idiot son of hers knew about my mother, and like all bigoted fools, assumed that we're involved in devil worship and the black arts. But I can assure you that this is most certainly not the case, Mr. Fordham.
Of course, I didn't mean to imply.
Just forget it.
That's all for now.
Wait, before you go, would you do me a favor? Would you go see my mother at our house and give her a message?
You're at 451 Compton Street, right?
Yes, that's right. Could you tell her I said St. Rock's dog is barking?
I suppose I could do that, yes.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Whatever happened to a simple I love you?
That sounds like code if ever I heard it. Okay. Let's have a check of our casebook then. Okay, premature humiliation. Did Albert Martin really do what he is accused of and cause Madame Laura Dupre to almost be interred alive, or was it someone else? So, question the residents of Dupre Manor, speak to the Juliet Montgomery at the university, deliver a message to Albert Martin's mother. No, we've got no clues, no suspects, and we have the message from Upton, which is what we read already. Okay. Let's go speak to this guy, maybe.
He's watching you like a hawk. Looks liable to toss you in one of his cells if you try any funny business. I bet that's a direct line to the police department. You should make a rude noise into it when Giles isn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Either crime is low, or the police aren't doing their jobs very well.
Empty cells. Okay. Right, I think that's... Look at this. Is that a whip? Oh my God. So, I guess it's a kind of a race thing as well. So they are, I mean, I guess they're going with the kind of social attitudes of the time, I suppose. So definitely interesting. They haven't explicitly said that, but that's obviously what it is. Right, okay, so that's the university. We could go investigate. I think we should probably go to... the house then, I think. Deliver that message. At least that's something we need to do.
Ah, Compton Street. We're not too far from Restaurant Row. When's the last time you ate, anyway?
Please, let's not add eating to the list of things to nag me about.
Okay, 451, this is where we need to go. So we've got the restaurant there, butcher shop, cab depot. let's just go straight to it. I think we'll maybe look at this when we come out.
I'm sorry, I have no time for visitors today.
Yes, we've got a message. That'll probably get her in.
You're Albert Martin's mother, aren't you?
Who are you?
Miles Fordham. I spoke with Albert, and he told me to give you a message. He said to tell you that St. Rock's dog is barking.
Oh, I see. That's good, that's very good. You better come in, Mr. Fordham. Standing on the street just won't do. Welcome to my home, Mr. Fordham. I am Sabine Martin. I hope you understand that Albert has nothing to do with this awful business. Would you care for some tea?
Well, her tune certainly changed when you gave her that message. I wonder what it meant.
Yeah,
No, thank you, ma'am.
Some sort of
I won't
code.
be staying long.
Okay, well, I guess we'll have a look around the place.
For all we know, that rider is some sort of demon. He looks like he's having a good time, at least. The Virgin Mary. I must admit, she was the last person I was expecting to see in here.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I first saw that. I thought that looks like a kind of Christian thing, but is that compatible with voodoo?
A rather unremarkable book collection, I'm sorry to say. That statue, on the other hand, gives me the willies. Interesting. Those pots look as though they've been wrapped in tobacco leaves. That pattern resembles a flower. Too bad it isn't an Easter lily.
Yeah, it's not going to be that easy, I don't think.
It's some old man with a dog standing at the center of a crossroads. If that's meant to have any sort of significance, it's completely lost on me.
I quite like the way that they use the sort of the ghost of Bill to describe what you're looking at. As remember, if you saw the unforeseen instance that I did recently, that was one thing. As we were looking around, someone did say to us, "You sure do talk to yourself a lot," and it kind of highlights the fact that in these sort of games, yeah, you look at something and these talks aloud. I mean, admittedly, we're just standing here and she'd be like, well, "Why are you just standing there?" But let's talk to her.
I've got a few questions for you, Mrs. Martin.
I'll try to answer them the best I can.
Right. Well, let's ask about her son.
Do you think your son is capable of doing what he stands accused of?
Never. Albert wouldn't harm a fly.
That's what the mothers always say.
Why don't you tell me a bit more about him then?
He started working at the university laboratory a few years ago. I was so proud of him. The university is quite selective, you know. The same for its staff as well as its students.
Yes, I've gotten that impression.
I always told Albert to be careful around those high society types, but that one always thinks with his heart first.
Is she sure that's the correct body part?
He's all the family I have, Mr. Fordham.
Oh dear. Right, well, let's find out a bit more about the relationship to Madame Dupre.
Do you know anything about Madame Laura Dupre?
I never met her in person, but I know plenty about her.
Like what?
Nothing fit for polite conversation, Mr. Fordham. But I can tell you this. Laura Dupre has far more enemies than she lets on.
Does that include you or your son?
It most certainly does not.
Okay, is she aware of the relationship between her son and Juliet?
What do you know about Juliet, Madame Dupre's daughter?
I know Albert was smitten with her, no matter that I told him to be very careful around her kind. Those rich Creole families don't care much for people like us. To them, we're just a help. But from his telling, Juliet sounded to be a decent soul. It's a shame the same can't be said for her kin.
Okay, let's find a bit more about herself.
What exactly is it you do, Mrs. Martin?
I provide services to the public.
A delightfully vague answer if there ever was one. Give me something a bit more specific, please.
I'm a Mambo Asugwe. That means I'm what you call a voodoo queen. I'd give you a detailed explanation of the responsibilities and duties of the role, but your time would be better spent clearing my son's name.
Fair enough.
If you'll indulge my curiosity, what exactly was the meaning of Albert's message?
Saint Rock is the patron saint of dogs, as well as the falsely accused. If he sent the message along with you, it means he trusts you, and that I should too.
Oh,
okay.
I see.
That's
Perhaps
interesting.
you were hoping for something more? That's just the way of mysteries, isn't it?
How do you mean?
The thrill of the unknown is always more exciting than the truth. Mystery makes life a little more interesting.
True, But if mysteries were really better unsolved, I wouldn't have a job. Can you tell me a bit more about your religious practices?
What I can tell you is that the ignorant whites in this city are afraid of us for no reason. Voodoo is not about black magic or dark spells or turning people into the living dead. It's about healing and life. Naturally, there are misguided souls who may try to use it for ill purposes, but I am not one of those.
Sounds like you hit a sore spot. Might be a good idea to stop pressing her on this angle.
Oh, so that's an interesting thing. I mean, it doesn't look like I have any more options to press her on that one thing, but it's one of the things that they were talking about in this game, that if you anger people, they might refuse to talk to you anymore. So that if you need to talk to them later, they might refuse, and you might not. It cuts off that avenue for investigation. So that's how you can kind of fail at solving the clues. So we don't want to upset people. So unlike a lot of these sort of games, you don't want to exhaust every single dialogue option, maybe, because some of them will lead you down paths you don't want to go down. But okay, let's have some tea.
I think I'll take you up on your offer for tea, after all.
All right, Mr. Fordham. You'll have to give me a few minutes to heat up the kettle. I'll be back shortly.
This might give us the opportunity to have a bit of a sneaky look around while she's not here.
Amazing! Even more voodoo stuff back there. Why would she keep these particular items hidden from view?
Good question.
They obviously have some importance to her. I'd suggest asking, but I don't know if that's the best idea given how sensitive she seems to be about the subject.
The tea should be ready in a few minutes, Mr. Fordham. You can help yourself once it's done.
You're very kind, Mrs. Martin.
So can we actually go out that way? So what happens if we try and look in the curtain when she's here? I don't want to annoy her.
I'm afraid that room is private, Mr. Fordham. I must respectfully ask you to not go in there.
Of course. My apologies.
Fair enough. It doesn't look like I can... Okay, well, maybe we'll just leave her to it then. Let's just see if we can talk to her again.
I've got a few questions for you, Mrs. Martin.
I'll try to answer them the best I can.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask her about it.
Thank you for your help.
My pleasure.
As much as I want to know about it, I'm not too sure. At the moment, I don't think it's relevant to the case. I think we'll leave.
Aren't you going to have your tea, Mr. Fordham?
I'm afraid I just remembered something important I need to look into. Perhaps later.
Suit yourself.
Yes, I think the tea was just a ruse to get her out of the room so we could have a look around. So that's interesting. Okay, so what can we do there? So that's where we just were. Been to the jail. So I guess the next thing would be go to Dupree Manor, or maybe the university. I think we'll go to the Dupree Manor.
You are aware this is private property, sir?
Jesus.
Yes, I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. I'm looking into the incident involving Madame Dupre. I assume this is she?
You assume correctly, Mr. Fordham. My apologies, but I thought the police had already made an arrest.
That's right, but there's still some doubt as to the man's guilt. May I ask your name, sir?
I am Dr. Fellows, Madame Dupre's private physician. I'm afraid she is in no state to be answering questions at present.
Are any other members of the family home?
Her son, Mr. Montgomery, is in the entrance hall. I had to give him a mild sedative to settle his nerves, but he should be all right to converse.
Then if you don't mind, I'll have a look around.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, we definitely want to speak to that guy because he's the one who made the accusation in the first place. So we'll look around the garden first.
This fountain probably looked nicer when it was working, but right now it's just a breeding ground for mosquitoes. With her vast sums of wealth, Madame Dupre could probably feed a starving family for the next 30 years. Instead, she uses the money to keep her hedges trimmed.
So there does seem to be a lot of sort of class divides, race divides, gender divides in this game. So it's definitely sort of summing up the kind of attitudes of the kind of time, despite the fact that this is an alternate universe, kind of a steampunk thing. So it's interesting how that's going to develop.
Her eyes are glazed over and she's got a vacant, expressionless stare. She seems completely oblivious to her surroundings. If we didn't know she'd been buried alive, I'd say she was just exhibiting the typical symptoms of your average rich person.
Okay. Right, well, let's go inside and see if we can speak to this guy. Her son. Here he is.
Oh, hello. Are you the new servant?
No, I'm Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator looking into your mother's attempted murder.
How did you know I was her son? Oh, of course. You must have sensed it with your detective's intuition. I should have guessed by that giant head of yours.
Are you feeling all right, Mr. Montgomery?
Yes, I'm fine. Much better than when those pesky police officers were snooping around earlier. But I like you, Mr. Fordham. I can already tell you're not like them at all. Please, call me Andrew.
Yes, well, I'll have a look around, and I may need to ask you some questions. Do you think you can handle that?
I can. In fact, I really look forward to it.
If the good doctor gave him a mild sedative, I'd hate to see what the stuff you take would have done to him.
Wow. Oh yeah, that's interesting. Okay, let's have a look around then. Have we got anything interesting to look at?
What a beautiful parrot. Must have cost the Dupreys a cool copper. Do you suppose that's for the bird? Or perhaps so the Duprey family members can get a good look at themselves on the way out of the house?
So we can go upstairs.
Duprey looks like she's holding on to that poor bastard for dear life.
We can go into the kitchen. Okay, well, we're here to speak to him. I want to speak to him first. Let's see what he's got to say.
I have some questions for you.
Oh, goody.
So in this kind of state, maybe we can get something out of him that he wouldn't necessarily say to us.
What can you tell me about Madame Dupre?
She came back from the dead. I couldn't believe it. My mother, resurrected, just like Jesus.
Yes. I heard you're the one who accused Mr. Martin of the crime.
Oh, no, I already talked to the police about that. I don't want to think about it right now.
Okay, fine. Let's find a bit more about himself. Maybe he's got some ulterior motives here.
How do you typically spend your days, Mr. Montgomery? What are your interests?
Oh, a little of this and a little of that. Nothing as exciting as what you do, I'm sure. Ooh, tell me, do most bad people start crying when you catch them? I'll bet it's a laugh riot to see them sobbing away.
No, Mr. Montgomery, most of them don't.
Well, that's a real shame, isn't it?
What can you tell me about your sister, Juliet?
I'm reminded of a famous quote, Mr. Fordham. Parting is such sweet sorrow. Let us part on good terms and avoid the subject altogether, please.
Okay, so maybe he doesn't like his sister. Oh, well, I guess it's the whole kind of relationship she's having. Probably definitely did not agree with that. Probably, spoiled that kind of relationship.
That's a rather exotic bird you've got.
I like looking at him. He has such pretty colors, doesn't he?
That he does.
You know, I've always wondered what he might taste like. Is that bad, do you think?
I really couldn't say, Mr. Montgomery.
Wow, this guy's...
Thanks for your time.
No, thank you for yours.
This is ridiculous. He won't be of any use in this state. If it takes him as long to snap out of it as it takes you, we'll be waiting around here until noontime tomorrow. There has to be a way to bring him back to his senses. Maybe that quack outside knows something of use.
Okay, yeah, that guy's just off his head. Let's go look upstairs. I wonder how much we can actually look around before we get kind of thrown out.
A horrible little porcelain figurine. Madame Dupre didn't strike me as the type to play with dolls.
So there's another doorway there.
Nice bouquet of roses. Although it would make things much easier if they were Easter lilies.
If only.
Yeah, not everything's going to lead back to that, I don't think.
Ah, the Gascon docks. The artist definitely took some liberties. You can't see a single person getting stabbed.
Oh my god.
Must be nice being able to afford keeping your oil lamps lit during the daytime.
Okay, well, let's go through the open doorway.
Goodness, someone went overboard with the flowers. This brings back some memories, doesn't it?
Ones I'd rather forget.
Oh my god, we can actually play stuff. Brilliant.
Oh, look! It's one of those new audio cylindergraphs. I can't quite wrap my head around how they can manage to get sound out of a wax cylinder. It must be a nice place to sit and listen to music. Why would anyone need so many flowers in one room?
Perhaps it's to mask the odors of those chemicals on the workstation.
Could be.
Oh, let's have a look at the workstation then. See what that's all about. Tweezers. Vigor pills. An hourglass. Container. Contraption. Book.
The science of pharmacology. I'm sure it's riveting stuff.
Some modern pestle there.
Decadent. Dr. Tennyson's Vigor Pills. These would make a sloth act like a hummingbird.
Oh, here we go.
A gentle reminder that everyone's time is slowly running out. What in the ether is that thing supposed to be? Actually, I'd rather not know.
Oh god, leeches at the back here.
Is this really the best that medical science has to offer?
So, okay, well, I'm guessing then this is kind of a vigor stuff. We need to give him one of these pills. Okay, let's have a
These
look.
should be useful.
Clue added. Let's have a look at our casebook then. So we need to question residents to Dupre Manor, which is what we're now doing. Speak to Juliet Montgomery at the university. That's another thing we need to do. We have some tweezers. A useful tool for reaching things too small for human hands to reach, or plucking those pesky long eyebrow hairs. Okay. Brilliant. Well, I'm wondering, is there a way, can I actually access my inventory to use stuff on?
The bottle is empty.
Okay, we're actually taking the bottle now, have we? Let's have a look here. An empty bottle of pills designed to energize even the laziest of people, recommended for use by men. Oh my god. Contains 98% benzo methyl. I don't even know how to say that. Okay, I should know. I don't know what that is. Okay, so let's move on then. Maybe we can speak to the doctor. Hold on. Oh, that's fine. Okay, we'll move on. Should we try these doors? Oh, we can go inside. How are we doing for time? We're kind of running a bit long. So, well then, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave it here. I don't really want to do much more than about 40 minutes for the episodes. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. So, what we're going to do this next time, we'll explore the rest of the house, and then we're going to speak to the doctor. Maybe we can figure out how to use those pills. Maybe we can make up some new ones, or get something to kind of get that guy into a bit more of a sensible state, so we can ask him some more questions. It's probably a good idea. But yeah, we'll explore the rest of the house, and we'll go and speak to Juliet, find out some more clues. So, brilliant. Let me know how you get on with this series. Are you intrigued? Are you wanting to know more? This is very interesting. I want to know what's going on. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I guess I'll see you next time out. Goodbye.